Welcome to Healings and Meditations with Frank Jordan and the Earth Mind Think Tank Group. We welcome all listeners and chatters. Any questions can be called in to 1-775-657-5973. 1-775-657-5973. If you're in the chat room on Wolf Spirit Radio, which is wolfspiritradio.com/wolf chat, please post questions in uppercase letters and capital letters. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is Frank Jordan with Wolf Spirit Radio and the Earth Mind Think Tank Group. The group is a meditation group assembled more than 3 years ago, and we've learned how to do and how to use group mind consciousness and to accelerate growth of consciousness within ourselves. But beyond that, we discovered that we can make contact with other consciousness sources. The galactic flow comes in occasionally and actually brings in flows of energy and tones into our recordings. And it's pretty exceptional what effect they have on us. The realization is that those flows are with us all the time. And particularly when we do our meditations, we can hear those deep earth tones. And all I had to do is mention them, and I feel my hands get hot. And I can hear the deep resonance of the tones. So we invite any and all of you to participate in that. Just step your awareness back and feel within yourself, just like a vibration, a deep, deep hum. It's below the auditory tones. It's more like, it's earth tones. It's below the Schumann resonance level. But what this is, these are carrier waves that are coming from the galactic center that are helping to harmonize and stabilize Earth. And I have to say, when I checked the weather patterns and the earthquake grid this morning, they are very stable at this time. And the sun is very stable also, so we do not have any big looming threats, and we know it's in response to our work, because the Earth was in kind of a chaotic state as far as Earth mind is concerned, as a direct response to the chaos of human consciousness on the surface of the Earth. Because when we see things really get out of bounds, like the thing in the Baltics that just happened, the Ukraine thing, and things of that nature, we see a corresponding surge in earthquakes around the Earth. And that's just the Gaia consciousness responding to stress from humans. And so we have learned how to extend ourselves out through Gaia to humans, through the Earth Mind Consciousness grid. And this grid is in a direct attunement with Gaia and the living consciousness of Earth, and also with the Akashic records. The Akashic records being actually the silicon dioxide, 60% of the Earth's crust is a gigantic computer chip, and that's what stores everything that happens of an energetic nature by anything having DNA on Earth. And as it stores the frequency of the ongoing standing waves of reality in this moment of now, that becomes a reservoir of consciousness that species draw upon through their DNA for intelligence and for survival consciousness. And so that's our instinctive consciousness. And this tone I'm hearing now, it's amazing as I step back. All I have to do is close my eyes and step back. That deep resonance is there. Can you other members of the Earth Mind Think Tank, can you hear that this morning?
I can hear it, Frank.
Yeah.
It's not auditory, it's an inside.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a feeling, like a pulsing, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Any other responses we can relate to?
It generates for me in the heart area and resonates out from there. So it's almost as if my heart beat is getting in line with this beat.
That's right on, Catherine. That's the 0 point. And so these flows that are coming from the galactic center now are carrying information into the 0 point of our hearts and helping to break down standing waves of negativity from the past and resonating into the future from the 0 point to help create the new world reality that we're working on. And it's interesting, as I talk about it, it intensifies. So all of you that are out there, just feel this deep resonance within yourself. It's not so much auditory as sensory, but it's here and it's working with us all the time. And it's also by asking for specific things in this flow, you can pull in healing energy or direct intent to help alter the standing waves of any reality out there, some situation that is affecting us negatively. You can, because this flow of consciousness, this galactic flow we call it, it comes from the silent ones, the ones who cannot directly intervene in our activities, but they're there silently prompting us, sending these resonances so that we can make right choice in creating our reality. As every moment is a moment of choice, we can listen to these flows and feel the response and prompting, and it through our daily activities. Once we're used to doing this, we will have this inner knowing. It's a spontaneous inner knowing of what to do, what to say, what to think, what actions, what choices to make, and it even goes so far as helping you to express yourself. I know the members of the group are becoming more and more adept at letting information just flow through them rather than trying to draw it out of their conscious mind or out of their soul memories. And it's just very inspiring to listen to this group as they've evolved and learned how to achieve this level of inner knowing in resonance with the galactic flows. Does anyone have any comment on that?
Frank, when you said galactic, I immediately got just a yellow wave of love and positivity, and I immediately felt filled with it, and I got tears in my eyes. It was just such a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And then as you were talking more, it just felt like I was just being filled with this love and warmth. It's just wonderful, and I've still got it. It's toned down now, but it's just there. And I know all I have to do is just think, and I can direct it anywhere on a very, very deep level. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, Diane, you're an Earth Mother. What do you feel?
Oh, well, I was the one that said I could feel the pulsing. It was just, I think Catherine put her finger on it too. It seemed, I was trying to find where it was centered from. At first it felt like it was coming up through my feet. And I've been spending a lot of time with the trees lately, so I feel kind of rooted. But it does pulse the hardest through the heart. I feel it too, in the heart.
Now, do you hear the tones rising?
Yes.
In response to our attention to them, they're amplifying the flow and making it more auditory for the benefit of those who can't feel well.
This morning I guided my mom in a clearing session under the sunlight, and she described something to what you're saying because she felt like she was sitting facing the sun early morning. But as we were going through the clearing session, because she wanted to clear off any energies left over from her mother and her, at one point she felt that the sun was actually behind her, and she describes feeling a pressure and light on her back, somewhat I guess between the solar plexus and the heart. She would point to the middle of the back. So what you're describing reminds me of that, and I thought it was currents coming from the past, so I guided her to clear the past. But it reminds me of what you're describing. She could feel that it was sunlight, yet the sun was hitting her face, not her back.
Well, it's so interesting that these flows, these energies work with us. And I'm reading the book right now. David, are you on?
Yes, I am.
This book you sent me over the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Would you talk about that a little bit? And I'm finding it very helpful, and it is helping you realize more who it is that's working with us. Go ahead, Dave.
And that's a little bit about why I sent it to you, because I actually found it in my stack of things that I've been reading for a long time. And there's actually a series of them. It's called, Frank, you might have to help me remember. I'm sitting here at my desk without one. It's the Allies of Humanity, Book 1. And essentially it talks about all the challenges that humanity is facing and has been facing. And what's most interesting is that these books were actually channeled books back in the late 70s through the early 80s, talking about the challenges of how humanity should approach different things, the escalation and the ascension of humanity, and talking about how these beings were watching very carefully and giving insight but would not interfere. But they were also describing other entities and beings from other worlds who were, in fact, interfering and looking to gain access to resources and then interbreeding and just a whole cataclysm of things. But they also warned not to shift into fear, just to be aware, to be knowledgeable, and work on ascension and make right choice, as we've heard Frank say for a long, long time. And so in many cases, what Frank has been talking about, they were talking about in these books as well, although a little different perspective at times, but very, very close. Does that sound about right, Frank?
Well, I think it's right on. I'm only about 4 chapters into it, but I intend to complete it, and I would recommend it to anyone else. Anyone desiring that, could you please email David?
Sure.
And he can email it back to you like he did me.
You can actually look on the internet under the Allies of Humanity. It's actually a freebie, and you can actually download it unless you want to send it from me as well. Either way is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Allies, A-L-L-I-E-S?
The Allies of Humanity.
Okay.
Extremely interesting read.
I think it's opening a door of perception to us, to realization and internalization of the fact that we're not alone, and that I've known this for some time, that we are receiving help. And this is a very quiet, non-intrusive group that simply puts the frequencies, resonances out there for us. And so as we do our clearing work and gain more and more clarity, we can download and attune to these that comes to us as intuitive knowing, rather than intrusive imposition or domination, as apparently is happening from some other, what do you call them, universal sources, beings. Yeah.
But I thought it was quite interesting that it just kind of, out of all the stacks and piles of things that, there it was on top, and I just picked it up and went, I think I'll go read this for a while. And then I read it again and sent it to Frank. So this sounds pretty good.
Well, it is. It lets us know we're not alone and that we should ask for help and direction and guidance. Because when we ask, we receive. And that's not just a trite saying from the Bible. I've known this for years, that if I just step back into my open state of consciousness in the meditative states that I've learned to achieve through the chakra clearing work and complete attunement into oversoul and undersoul, in that state of open, receptive consciousness, you can ask and wait, and information will just rise in your mind. We have an incredible computer in our systems, the most incredible computing system in the world, the most advanced. And unfortunately, it came to us without an operator's manual. But we are learning and progressing. Any other comments in this regard?
The question always comes before the answer. So if you don't have a question, you won't get the answer. It's like the key to get to get the answer is like asking the question.
What
Precisely.
you and David were talking about, Frank, is what in the days of yore they would call angels. That's how people would, work through the system before the mass churches and TVs and things like that they would work with their, quote unquote angels, which is similar to what you and David were talking of.
I try to avoid anything of a religious connotation, because the realization is that they're just beings like us. They're more evolved. They may be ethereal, disincarnate, but what the heck? It's all there. It's all one. And when we ask, we shall receive.
Frank, the other thing I'm getting to share is with these flows that are coming in. You shared with us about putting those 4 crystals in the corner and creating that octahedron around us.
Mm-hmm.
And then to allow those flows to come in. I just am finding this so powerful and thought that the listeners might like to have this tool or technique to bring in more energy in their home space.
Well, Jane and I visited Egypt about the 3rd year of our marriage. Golly, this has been way back in 1973, I think. And, of course, the big pyramid was, we could look out the window of our hotel, and there it was, just massive, massive thing. And it was so inspiring to me. It opened me up into a lot of levels of consciousness and awareness that I didn't know I had. And one of the things that I was shown that night is that if we put 4, right in that hotel room, if we put 4 large crystals in a square and set down in them back to back and extended awareness on down into the earth, actually we put another crystal right at the base of our spines between us to act as below apex of the crystal, subex or whatever you want to call it. When we did that, we came into direct resonance with that big pyramid, and it was just astounding what we felt. We went out of body, we could astral travel, we went back in time when the pyramids were being built, and it was just an unforgettable experience. It's always been with me, and with that I brought back the awareness, and I've used this many, many times on people with chronic diseases like blood cancer and things of that nature, that if we just put a fairly mid-sized crystal that's in their beds at the corner of their mattresses, and then put another one underneath the center of their bodies, and just a second here, and put one in a lamp or light or something, or tape it to the ceiling, so you create the crystal configuration. It drops you right into that crystalline grid, and there's a lot of energy there you can access, even the galactic energy. I think this may be what opened us up to the galactic energy flows, and because I know I had a better attunement and source and way of gathering information, and from that point on, anytime we encountered anything new, Jane would simply ask the question. She was wonderful at asking the right and appropriate question, and it would trigger in myself a response. And that's why I love questions from you guys too, or anyone. The question, as soon as it occurs, it's already, the answer is already rising in me. And many times, most of the time, it's things that have not been experienced or exposed to before in my conscious reality. So this is a wonderful tool you can use. Rachel, in yourself, what do you feel when you're in this crystal octahedron?
I just feel better. I feel good. It feels kind of like a protective shield, and it brings down the flows of energies. And my whole house just feels different. I've done one in the room that I spend time in, and then I did one around my bed. And I'm just getting goosebumps telling you about it. I feel a very strong galactic flow. And there's like a golden energy that comes down. And then I can direct it, like you're saying, and I'm still working with this. I'm just kind of playing with the energies, but I'm finding it very helpful.
Your husband is a very active businessman, and he carries a lot of stress. Yeah. Make sure there's one around his bed also.
Yes.
And it would help him to open up to the realization of what we're doing better, possibly. Because you can feel this energy when you step into it. It's like walking through an invisible barrier and into this field of expanded consciousness and clarity. And I've been asked many times, how do you protect yourself from entities and invading forces and things of that nature, or just from the general atmosphere of the world out here that's so polluted. This is a wonderful way of doing it, because whatever you will into that pyramid stays there, and it holds that form. So that might be a very beneficial tool for you. And those of you who have waltz tools, I think that it'd be a great place to use that waltz tools also to amplify the grid.
So how big do these crystals have to be effective?
Oh, I like them at least as large as your thumb.
Oh, okay.
They don't have to be massive, but the bigger they are, the more powerful they are, of course. And the capstone, okay, the one you put glue to your ceiling or tape to your ceiling, of course, that's the one that's resonating into the grid out there. So, well, actually, all four corners are resonating into the grid. The grid extends around us. This is something I saw as a clairvoyant vision that night, looking at the pyramid. They had huge searchlights all over it, so you could see it well at night, and it glowed clear out across Cairo. And when I saw that, I had this clairvoyant vision of this crystalline grid extending all the way around the world, and later, as I got exposed more to the Yucatan pyramids and coming into the realization that there's a grid of pyramids all the way around the world, that is a grid we can tune into also. It has been programmed negatively in the past to help do mind control and influence us and hold us in a negative form, but I and some of the group have been working in it to help clear those negative patterns, and we'll continue to do that. As we gain greater expertise in this, this is one way we'll shift the consciousness from domination to dominion. Any questions? If not, let's do a fun thing today. We'll go into the grid, the earthquake grid, do our clearing work there. And instead, I'd like to report on that our work is very evident around the Ring of Fire, in that the magnitude of the earthquakes are really reduced dramatically from when we started. The average earthquake now is like 3.5 to 4 is a big one, and sometimes, like there's one now in in Greece that popped off. That's a 6.7 or 6.9. Well, that's getting to be pretty hefty and can cause the damage. And that is a point that we've been observing. It's been pretty steadily there. So when we see these on the map, we put our attention there, and we can release energies off those and keep them from getting to the magnitude of where they're destructive. All right, let's begin our meditation. Just totally relax, get absolutely comfortable. And the way we do this is we access the subconscious mind and then the extended chakra system, and then we go into earth mind and extended grids of consciousness. Take your point of attention to your forehead and step back. Actually, you're already there, because as soon as you put your point of attention on your forehead, you're in the frontal lobes of your brain where you're actively thinking and reasoning. Now just let go of that brain activity. You don't need it in this subtle energy realm, because you work purely with intent and self and inner realization. So let's all step back into the soul center now, the indwelling soul. The indwelling soul is the consciousness that we express through. Now take a step on back deeper to the pituitary pineal. This is the subtle energy center of consciousness. This is the akashic, not the akashic, the telepathic realm that you step into there. And as you do that, you feel yourself extend out through the vibroports in your body. They're all over the surface of your body. And you can reach out through those with direct intent to anyone you want to send a telepathic message to. And the way you send telepathic messages is not with a running line of conversation. That's the frontal brain. That is not psychic. Back in that inner state of consciousness that is the psychic zone, you send messages by encapsulating them in intent. You simply formulate the thought in your mind in a linear flow and encapsulate that into an intent and send it to a person by focusing on them and just projecting it out as energy. It's just like giving it a burst of energy that amplifies the resonance you already have with that person, and they pick it up immediately and respond to it. When you get sensitive with clarity, and that's why I preach clarity constantly, getting rid of all the blocks and programs in the subconscious mind that might limit your use of these tools. By gaining clarity and learning how to listen to your vibroports all over your body, you literally can download information from anywhere simply by putting your mind on it, your point of attention, and then relaxing, just holding your tense there, and that's how you receive information. And it's just like stepping back and listening, and don't even really put much intention on or intensity on the energy. It's just a matter of waiting, listening, and let your mind wander off if it wants to, because when the information that actually takes your attention away from the psychic center, if you allow the conscious mind just to wander but don't focus on anything while you're doing it, it keeps your point of attention from interfering with the flow of information coming into you. Then when you bring your attention back to your psychic center again, boom, there it is. The information's there. It's rising into your mind. Very simple process with a little practice. You'll get better and better and better at this. And when you can send a message, send it with emotional energy, if you possibly can. This utilizes all the chakra system and accelerates the frequencies that hold the form of the intent that you're projecting. And move your awareness back a step deeper into the expanded state of the subconscious mind. That expanding feeling is literally you coming into conscious attunement with your subconscious mind. Now let your subconscious, your point of attention, just drift down through your body, down through the chakras of the heart center, the 0 point. And this is where all the action is. This is where the indwelling spirit in the heart center manifests a standing wave that holds everything in form. So to change anything, this is where you go, is to this point with your intent and desire and will and energy, desire and will acting on the energy, the standing wave, is manifestation. Then drop on down deeper, and you'll feel a shift because you're dropping into the low self consciousness here. This is your animal consciousness. And yeah, the high level of the animal consciousness, solar plexus, is what interacts and rules our everyday reality out here. So it has a great part in the co-creation, working with the oversoul, high self, of manifesting and attracting what we want into our reality. The low self actually is the one that manages the physical reality, because it is what is resonating right directly into the Akashic records we mentioned before, the earth mind, to pick up and hold the form of everything that has been in the past. So as that form resonates forward in the standing waves through the 0 point, you don't have to think about it. Time and space and physical realization, it just continues. You don't have to think about it. It's co-created at all times, but you become the co-creator when you desire to change it in the 0 point. So the future now, the future moment of now, reflects your desire and will. Now take your awareness down to the root chakra at the base of the spine. Now drop on down into Earth Mind. This is another octave of 12 chakras that is Earth Mind, and the very top one is the highest resonance in Earth Mind. As you drop down into Earth Mind, into deeper and deeper and lower frequencies, that's when you come into attunement with everything that's been stored in Earth in the higher ranges of conscious creation. When you get down into the purely instinctive ranges, that's where what our body, our whole system relies upon to control the function of our DNA and the pattern that the DNA resonates into form. And I warn you not to go below the heart center of Earth Mind, because this is where, I don't even want to think about it. Real negative things of the past have been stored, low vibrational frequency. This is the realm of the demons, and they are very real because they have been created with human consciousness in the past. And so, just close off to that. You don't need to go below that point. Now, bring your awareness back up again into Earth Mind, into the crust of the Earth, and extend your awareness through the crustal grid out to Southern California and into the earthquake grid. And the map just shows like pockmarks of earthquakes over the last 7 days. And they're very mild right now. They're small and mild, and that's good. That shows natural movement. And so we won't do anything to interfere with that. We simply draw the excess energy away from Southern California and extend your awareness all the way out now to encompass from the Oregon line all the way down to Mexico. Just lift this energy up, the excess energy. Lift it up your spine. Feel it go through the 0 point with your will and intent to take it on up through the crown chakra, through oversoul, and into the ionosphere on the earth, where we've created a golden grid of energy It's a protective field around the earth, and also stores energy along with our thought forms and intent of what we'd like to have resonating into earth consciousness, into human consciousness, or into earth mind. This is also how we can control storms to a degree. Let's feel that flow coming up your spine, spreading around the earth. And by reinforcing our intent to divert solar flares, we keep this strong and healthy at all times. Now take your awareness eastward to the Sierra Nevada range on the east side of California, subduction zone there. Lift that energy upward. And we visualize that rather than being a jerking release of energy as being a harmonious release of the stress that's built up between the particles in the soil. Now take your awareness further east to the Rocky Mountain chain from Las Vegas all the way up to the Canadian border. Just extend yourself out through that whole region. Lift that subduction zone energy upward. This is what created the Rocky Mountains, is that subduction plate. Putting a particular point of attention on the Yellowstone caldera. Lift that energy from the caldera, transmuting it. And it is noteworthy the fact that the earthquakes have reduced in intensity there. They are more minor now. Now bring your awareness back to the northwestern corner, the northwest, including Seattle, the Willamette Basin. There's quite a scattering of energies up near the Olympic Peninsula now. Lift those upward. Move your awareness on northward to the Gulf of Alaska, where that Pacific plate is subducting under the Alaska plate, causing an ongoing myriad of small earthquakes. Again, we stabilize that and harmonize that and feel that ongoing release. It's interesting as now lift that energy upward. As we're doing this, I'm hearing the earth tone shift in that locality. Wow, that's interesting. Just feel the intensity of the shift as we release the energies. I'm feeling it just above my heart. This is how you judge the frequency range of something you're working with, is where you feel it in your body, with the realization that within yourself is the full range of frequencies of all the forms in our reality. Now take your awareness down the Aleutian chain, bordering the Aleutian Trench. Lift those energies upward. Now move down the Kamchatka Trench to Japan. There's activity along the trench. None in Japan itself today. This is notable. But we take time to put our point of attention on the vortex we've created around the radiation fields of the reactors, and we lift that energy upward in a spiraling whirl, transmuting it into beneficial energy, adding it to our golden grid. Now, there's some major activity in the northern Mariana Islands, a fairly large 4.5. It would indicate sub-oceanic activity like a volcano on the earth floor, the ocean floor. Lift that upward. That's a natural release of energy from that point. Now we move westward to the Philippines, and there's quite a string of mid-range, which can be Earth. Tune into those. I'm feeling a lot of volcanic activity in that region stirring up, so lift that upward. That's the natural release of Earth energy, is through the volcanoes. There will be a fault line under every one of those, and a break in the Earth crust. And they swing on down into Indonesia, the Indonesian crescent. Similar activity there. Now move eastward to New Guinea and the string of islands, the Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, all the way over to Samoa. Lift those energies upward. Now down the Kermadec Trench to New Zealand, and just north of Castle Point, there's a 4.7 occurred. This is one we've been watching because we could feel this building up in the last few weeks. So we release that energy. And there's one right at the southern tip of New Zealand also. 4.3 at T&O. Lift that upward. Now move your awareness eastward across the Pacific to South America. In the midpoint of Chile, there's a 5.2 at Tomé, Chile. This is the subduction right on the coastline, and some inward from that in the Andes Mountains. Lift the full length of the Andes Mountains, lift that subduction stress through the ancient volcanoes and release it. Now move northward, northern Chile, and on northward into Central America. Scattering of earthquakes that are inducing to volcanic activity there. Lift those upward. And now eastward to the Dominican Republic. It's just a shotgun spatter, as it always is in that region. A lot of deep crustal movement occurring. You lift the energy off so it won't be a destructive release as it was in Port-au-Prince. Now move eastward to Greece. As we release the energy from Goksida, Turkey. And Kamarotis, Greece. Now we move eastward to the Persian Gulf. 5.1 at Oshem, Iran. Lift that energy upward. Now up into the western Himalayas. 4.4 in Afghanistan. .8 at Pingguan, China. That one's been ongoing near Myanmar. I move the awareness eastward, back to our point of beginning. Then we go to the central United States, where there's even a greater cluster now of minor earthquakes caused by the fracking activity in Oklahoma. Lift that energy upward. And use that activity to stabilize, in fact, to bring down energy from the golden grid to stabilize the pollution, to neutralize the pollutants that are being injected into the ground. Now we move eastward to Powhatan, Virginia. 3.1, there's been occasional activity there. Now come back to our point of beginning and bring your awareness back up your spine now to the extended consciousness of Gaia and Earth Mind. Reach out through Gaia to ask Gaia, all right, I'm getting pressure in my head over my right eye. That relates to an area close to the North Pole. Let's look at that more closely. All right, this is stress that's being caused by global warming and the excessive melting of the polar cap. Gaia is asking us to slow that process down so the oceans won't rise so rapidly. We bring energy down from the golden grid, cooling energy, to cool off, to actually shield that area and the South Pole, using the golden grid to shield, to reduce the amount of energy coming in from the sun and the effect of the weather patterns, the warm weather patterns cycling upward from the Tropic of Cancer region up into the northern latitudes. We see that slowing down to reduce the rate of global warming. Just feel yourself now in Earth Mind up in the northern Canadian area, which is covered by the ice cap. And feel yourself becoming cool as you resonate that intent to cool down the North Pole. Become frigid. And bring a flow of energy from the golden grid to sustain, working with the Devic consciousness in that region. And we move our awareness now to the South Pole. We go to the central region, directly south of Adamson Sea, into the center of the ice cap, Antarctic ice cap, and we will that to slow down, to reduce the cooling. And implant a permanent flow of energy from the golden grid to reduce the rate of melting. We sustain. How interesting. Now the pressure's gone from my head. So we have to learn to listen to Gaia. It tells us, if we'll tune into the feelings in our system, which is in direct resonance with everything on Earth, and listen to what we're being told. Now bring your awareness back up into your own center of awareness, up the spine, back out through the psychic center, and pause there in your psychic center for a moment to send information or love to anyone that you want to through the psychic grid. Now it's interesting, whoever you're sending that flow of unconditional love to from the heart center, they will feel that. And they may spontaneously mention to you later that they thought about you, and they'll be thinking about you in a loving manner. This is how we project love. And there's many levels of discernment in love that you can send, but just send a nice, quiet, wrap-around, nourishing love to someone you do love. Now bring your awareness back up into your frontal lobes of your brain, and step out into the physical world. We have about 5 minutes left. Does anyone have any comments?
Hi, Frank. It's Teresa. I have a thought that popped in my head, and that is the water that is surrounding the ice caps in all of the oceans. I had this thought before, and that was that we send the intention of releasing the memory of global warming around in the droplets of water, release that memory, and put in the intention that it is a cooler temperature.
All right. Let's do that next Saturday, and we don't have time to really do a thorough job of that now, but remind us of that next Saturday. That's very good, Teresa. It's also important to have those waters mix and dilute evenly, so the salt is not overly diluted, which would affect the living creatures. Anyone else have a suggestion or an idea?
Yesterday I was thinking, remember the practice that we did from Catherine's idea regarding Memorial Day, releasing all that energy, all that negative energy from all the years of war. And yesterday I had a thought about all the energies and entities that are stuck all over the world in both empty and occupied prisons. I think those are nexus points of negativity and negative energy and entities feeding off of all that negativity, and they're sitting on the surface of the earth like canker sores.
Very good. Remind us to work on that next Saturday also. Well, Dave, we're back. You got any great requests or ideas? Well, let's just all wrap Dave in a
I'm
flow.
right here. Good Lord.
We're going to wrap Dave in a flow of unconditional healing love now. Just open up, Dave, and feel this pour into you. Everyone feel your hands get hot. Just surround Dave with nurturing, healing force from the galactic flow.
Bear with me for a minute.
To heal his processes, to reduce his anxiety about his condition. And through the power of the Christ within us, we see Dave in a perfect and normal condition. The fluid releasing from his system. Coming back into normal. All right, Dave, that's the best we can give you, the best thanks we can give.
Well, thank you. I deeply appreciate it. And we'll see you all Saturday morning.
Okay.